Bristolian through and through, yeah. Oh, I love a coffee, mate. I don't switch my phone on, so it's not the first thing that I'm looking at in the morning. Go to the gym or go for a run. But yeah, and eating healthy. I love eating healthy as well.
Technical healing.
Hello and welcome to Technical Healing. My name's Will. First, let me begin by explaining the name Technical Healing. So the technical part refers to the fact that my colleague and I are both technicians at the School of Anatomy in the University of Bristol. The healing part refers to our focus towards mental health and well-being. We're under no illusions that we're going to be healing people with this podcast, but we hope that we can cover enough bases that it will help as many people as possible, really. And obviously, technical healing is a spin on the Marvin Gaye song that you may have heard. The concept behind the podcasts is to interview different people from around the university who can give us an insight and some advice and expertise from all different fields. We imagine that if you take a neuroscientist, a psychologist, and a sports therapist, they would all have very different ideas of mental health and well-being and how to work around them. We'll also be exploring the careers, experiences, and achievements that people have had and any research or other exciting projects that they've been involved in. As an initial pilot episode of the podcast, I'll be interviewing and introducing Charlie Tanner, who is a senior technician at the School of Anatomy. If you've never been or never heard of the School of Anatomy, it's where the medical students and the vet students do their first few years of studies. Charlie is a well-respected and highly regarded member of the anatomy team. He's kind of the go-to guy for anything anatomy. There's a running joke that everybody's looking for Charlie, and it's not far from the truth. He's also very passionate about mental health and well-being, and I hope that the advice and tips that he gives during this interview can help many people. So there's only one thing left to do, and that is enjoy the soothing wisdom of Charlie Tanner. It's my pleasure to introduce Charlie Tanner, the Oracle of South Wells Street. How are you doing, Charlie?
Hello, mate. Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Very welcome. So I've got a few questions to run through with you.
No problem.
So, first question, how did you get into working for the University of Bristol?
Well, I'd say a bit of a random one, really. It wasn't, but my old man, so my dad, he's worked here for sort of well over 40 years, and he ended up becoming sort of the technical manager over here in South Wells Street, so in the anatomy department. Always a really interesting job. Like, he always used to explain to us what he did as kids, and I was always sort of fascinated with it, really. And then I think it was around about when I was 16, there was an opportunity over the summer to come in and do a bit of sort of like cash in hand summer work, just a bit of cleaning, and to work with the team and sort of, yeah, meet the members of the team, really, because I'd never met them before. There were a couple of sort of old heads like Chris Tugwell,
Yep.
which I'd met before because he was mates with the old man. But yeah, it was just to come in and sort of help out over the summer and earn a bit of extra cash. And when I did, I really enjoyed it. It was such a sort of like surreal place to work. Lots of sort of like real quirky different things going on. Being an anatomy department, really. People that worked here as well were lovely, and they were really. I just enjoyed sort of working with them. They're all really nice, really sort of great bunch. Being like an anatomy science department, there was loads of sort of like cool research that was happening at the time. And there still is loads of sort of interesting skeletons, sort of human and animal, loads of anatomy pots. There was like a big museum and stuff like that. So as a 16-year-old, I was just like really fascinated in it all. But it was only a temporary contract over the summer, so it was just a sort of bit of cash in hand. It was nothing permanent. And me being me, I'd never really wanted to work for my dad. I always wanted to go and get my own job and just like do my own thing. And I literally couldn't, although I love him and like we get on with like best mates, really, I just couldn't ever see myself working for him as a manager, really. And I'm a bit too proud as well. I'm a bit of an idiot like that. I just thought I'm never going to work for him. I want to do my own thing. So I ended up becoming a carpenter, doing an apprenticeship, so getting a trade under my belt, which again I really enjoyed. And then from that, it sort of evolved that I actually got laid off at the end of my apprenticeship, as did the other apprentices as well. So I was out of work for a little while, I think I was around sort of 19, 20 when that happened. And then I just jobbed around, did various jobs. What did I do? A bit of scaffolding for a while, did a bit of labouring. And then I ended up actually working for the Royal Bank of Scotland, which was really random, getting an
Alright.
insurance job. So I got trained up as like an insurance broker almost there, and dealing with sort of like commercial insurance packages for a few years, which I absolutely hated. It wasn't for me. Like I really did not like the sort of
Yeah, I can
the
imagine
office.
that. You're quite an active guy. I can't imagine
Yeah,
you like, strapped to a desk.
no, and that literally was what it was, mate. It was like just sat at a desk all day, just speaking to people on the phone about sort of commercial insurance packages. It was very dry. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, I learned a set of skills there, which I probably wouldn't have if I didn't join. But the money was pretty good, to be honest with you. I earned pretty well there. But yeah, it just wasn't fulfilling enough, really. It didn't really hit the spot with me. Like I knew it wasn't something that I wanted to carry on with for life. It wasn't a career for me. And I got to that age, and I just thought I really want to get my teeth stuck into something. And at that point, my dad was institutionalized over here, so he'd been here for 30 something years already. He was never going to leave the job. There was I was never going to work here, and then all of a sudden it all sort of happened at once, really, where there was a job that came up in the med school as I think it was technical manager over there, which he applied for, and he actually got that job out of nowhere, really. And a technical role, like a low grade technical role, came up over here, and all at once, to be honest with you, as I was at my point where I really really hated working in the office, and I just went for it, and then in the end I got it. He moved out, so he went to work somewhere else in the university, and I moved in. So and that was it, mate. Long story short. Sorry. It was
Yeah.
yeah. That was how I got my job here.
Never looked back and moved
That's
up the
it, mate.
ranks.
That's it, mate. Yeah. So yeah, and
Nice one.
seemed to do okay when I joined. So yeah, good place to work.
Yeah, definitely
Mm.
unique, isn't it?
It is, mate. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
what
do
would
like
you
it.
say is your proudest achievement since working in the School of Anatomy?
I mean, there's been a few of note, I suppose. I mean, probably the first one. I think it was back in 2016 as a team. We were actually nominated at the Professional Services Awards for, I think it was called Team of the Year. We were nominated. We had quite a lot of nominations actually, and then obviously they reviewed it panel, and we were shortlisted, and we actually won in the end. So we, 2016, we actually won throughout the whole university, through all the professional services teams. We actually won Team of the Year. It was only a small little team that we had then, but that was pretty cool. Yeah, that was one of them. I mean, I was nominated. This is a bit of I hate doing this, but I was nominated for. I've got it written down because it's a mouthful. The Royal Society of Biology Higher Education Technician of the Year across the UK and Ireland. There you go. So I was
Yeah,
nominated for that, but I didn't win anything. But just to get a nomination was pretty cool, seeing as it's across sort of for all the institution across the UK and Ireland. And that was in 2019, I think.
yeah, brilliant.
And the final one, sorry, I do want to plug this. It's pretty. This is the best one for sure. Was actually the development of our apprentice Ryan, with the help of others, obviously, like yourself. Just his confidence and stuff like that. Since we took him on, he's not massive. He won't mind me saying he's not massively academic, and I think he sort of struggled a little bit with the college side of things. But we've all, myself included, and the team that are working at the minute, have all helped develop him, and it's just his confidence really was the main thing. He has had a tough life, which I won't go into, but when he first joined, he was like a quiet little mouse, and now he's confident. He's actually had his contract extended here to a full-time contract as an employee here rather than an apprentice. So to be honest with you, that sits better than winning any awards and things like that. Really, is doing sort of things like that, and that is the main one of note. To be honest with you,
Yeah, and that has been massive progress for him personally, hasn't it? In his
massively, mate.
personality and
Mm.
confidence.
Yeah, definitely, and just building like friendships as well. And like he's just a lovely bloke, if I'm being honest, and that's why
He
we've all
is,
got on with
yeah.
him because he's a top guy, really.
Okay, so can you think of moments, your funniest moments since working here?
Do you know what? I was trying to think of some this morning, and I mean, to be honest with you, most because we're all such good mates that work over here, we all get on really well. We do actually have a laugh every day. I know it
Yeah,
sounds a bit corny, but that's the one thing that I really do love about this job is that we can all have a good crack every day. So we all come in, we all work hard, but we all have a good laugh every day. So that's really what sort of part of the job that I do really enjoy. I mean, specifically, it's not going to sound funny, but there's a character here called Ed Zeeley.
Yeah.
He's here, there, and everywhere. He's always up to no good. He's not clumsy because that's the wrong word, really, to be honest with you. But he does get himself in certain situations. And just one of them, it tickled me. It's not going to sound funny to the listener because you sort of had to be there, really. But it was just I walked into one of the preparation areas one day, and he was pushing this massive bucket on wheels, and the floor had like a bit of grease on it, and when he was started pushing it, it was almost like one of those cartoon sketches where his legs were going so fast because he was like skating on grease,
Yeah.
and the barrel wasn't going anywhere. And honestly, to God, he ended up on all fours. And there's loads of others that are probably not that appropriate for the podcast, really. But it made me laugh for days, to be honest with you. Whenever I saw him, I just burst out laughing. So. He's a character. We've had loads of funny times, and generally day to day we do have a laugh there on site. So yeah, it's a pretty good place, to be honest.
Good stuff.
Mm.
So you're quite fond of Bristol. You've lived here a while, haven't you?
For my whole life, mate. Bristolian through and through. Yeah.
So what's your go-to place in Bristol? Your favourite place to go on a day off or something like that?
I mean, Bristol as a whole really is a beautiful city. I mean, it's so up and coming over the last sort of 15 years or so. They've invested so much in and around the city centre and widespread really. So going out to the suburbs, there's loads of investment. So it's a real thriving city really. But I mean, my fond love is where I live at the moment, which is where I've always lived really, is sort of Ashton and Bedminster, which is sort of South Bristol really. I just love it there. Like the vibe is great. Like it's just over the last sort of 10 or 15 years, we've had so much development and sort of new independent businesses popping up with young families moving in as well. It's just come on leaps and bounds really, and there's loads of sort of like my favourite things to do really. To be honest with you, the main one uh, is obviously my fond love for Bristol City. So Ashton Gate. I live around the corner from it. I love going there. I love football. So again, that's like a big attraction for me. But I mean, I just love wandering around, grabbing a coffee. All the independent coffee shops that are around there. There's loads, if not the best in Bristol, I would say. The likes of, I'm going to plug this, but like Sweven, which is probably my favourite coffee shop on North Street in Bedminster, which is incredible, and Tin Can, which has been there for a long time, and Albatross. So those are a few of my sort of go-tos on the weekend, really.
You love
And
a coffee, don't
restaurants.
you?
Oh, I love a coffee, mate.
Yeah.
Favourite thing. Just to go out on a Saturday and Sunday morning and get a coffee from one of these places is. It sounds simple, but I love it. That's why we live there, to be honest with you.
For the coffee.
For the coffee mainly, yeah, definitely. And food as well, mate. So some of the restaurants are incredible around there. Soup Kitchen is my favourite. That's sort of like, it's Mediterranean. They do a bit of Middle Eastern, all sorts really, but it's another incredible restaurant. And Italian, Sunny Stores is a new one that's just opened on Raleigh Road in Bedminster, which is a traditional Italian with a sort of like modern twist to it as well. So again an incredible little restaurant if anyone gets the opportunity to get down there. And pubs and stuff as well. I love going to a pub and having a pint, and there's loads of little independent pubs in and around Bedminster that are still going. Clothes shops, all sorts really, mate. We just love it round there. Like we've recently bought a house around there. And they're not big by any means, then they're really expensive, so you don't get much for what you pay for.
Yeah.
But more so our driver is that we love the area, so plonk the house anywhere, and as long as we're in the right area and what we love doing, and our friends and family are around, that's what we enjoy, mate. So yeah, Bedminster, nice
Bedminster.
place. Yeah.
So this podcast is primarily around talking about mental health and well-being. You're
Cool.
quite an active guy, looks after himself
Yeah.
nutritionally. How would you summarize your mental health and well-being?
I mean, so far, not so bad really. I'm probably one of the lucky ones, to be honest with you, mate. I don't necessarily struggle with any sort of like notable sort of mental health issues as such, but it's something that is of real interest to me. That and physical health, so mental and physical health is always been a bit of a sort of like interest of mine. I've just been fascinated by it really, and I think probably quite a few of the practices that I put in place, really my day-to-day sort of practices are to the a bit of a sort of contributing factor to that. That why my mental health is okay is because I do sort of practice these things daily. I am into sort of like my physical fitness as well, which is massive, I think, in helping your sort of mental health. So I try to exercise every day, really. To be honest with you, I have a couple of days when I'm a bit tired, which I don't. But whether it's just go for a walk, I love to get on the bike, go for a run, or do some weights as well. So it's completely varied, but again, it is like meditation for me, really. It's something that does really help me to sort of de-stress and give you a bit of sort of mental clarity, really. Is it just sort of like if you've had a bit of a stuffy day, go to the gym or go for a run, and it just sort of like knocks that all out the back of your head and gives you a bit of a clear mind, really. I do have like things like sort of daily practices that I do as well. Like a lot of them are, I mean, I've just had a little one. Well, I say just, he's 8 months old now, but so I've not been as good just because it's been a bit hectic at home. But over the last sort of month or two, I've put these back in place, and I've noticed a massive difference. And just getting up in the morning, having like 45 minutes in the morning where I have no TV. I don't switch my phone on, so it's not the first thing that I'm looking at in the morning. No blue light or any sort of news, sort of scrambling my brain a bit. Just have a cup of coffee and some water, and I actually read for sort of half an hour, or try to read anyway for half an hour. I mean, the book I'm reading at the moment it's called The Power of Now, which is about being present, which is a real in the current situation is a real sort of help. Just trying to be sort of present in the moment, really, rather than sort of thinking about things that have gone wrong or previous issues or thinking about the future, what could
Yeah.
or may not happen. It's about being present, and it's actually a really good read. And I like to journal as well, so I've got like a diary and it's a diary slash journal. So I like to just write in there in the morning what sort of things I'm going to get up to in the day. What positive things, really. Nothing negative goes in there. It's just going to be sort of like a list of what I'm going to do. Yeah, what positive things I'm going to do, really. So like eating healthy, trying to read for sort of an hour, stay off my phone a little bit longer than I would normally, go for a run, stuff like that. So yeah, just it's about making yourself accountable, really, I think, and that by writing that down, I find that a little bit easier because then I can just tick them off at the end of the day, and it just makes
Yeah, that's
I
interesting.
can hold myself accountable for those, really.
Is that something that you've picked up somewhere? Was that taught to you? Or?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just my fascination with it all, really, to be honest with you, mate. And it's just an accumulation of sort of like listening to podcasts like these, reading books over the years, and just deciphering all this information that, I mean, there is a lot of information online. It's endless, really, but it's sort of picking small snippets of these books and podcasts that I listen to and just sort of making my own sort of little routine in the morning and
Working out what works for
yeah,
you.
I think that's the main thing, mate. Is give these things a go because a lot of them they are. It's a fairly holistic approach to all this, so it's not going to cause you any harm. I think it's just giving it a go, seeing what works for you, and then just making your own little sort of routine, really. But yeah, and that and eating healthy. I love eating healthy as well. Again, that's a massive thing. Is exercise, eating healthy, eating the right foods, and I mean, I take a couple of supplements as well. I take vitamin D, which is really helpful, especially in this time of year with the sort of lack of sunlight and just the way that vitamin D helps with sort of like sort of cognition, so thinking and immune health, sort of bone health, and just general well-being. Really, it's definitely one of those. I mean, I think I heard on the news the other day that GPs are actually starting to issue people vitamin D now, like a prescription. So it's one of those that like it's gone through, I guess, enough research and they've got enough sort of like quality research back from it that they're actually issuing it out. Doctors are issuing it out now as like a healthy supplement. So yeah, vitamin D is probably the main one to be honest, mate. If you could take anything,
Okay.
especially in the winter months because we're not getting much sun, is just take a little bit of vitamin D and that can help you a little bit. Yeah, it's not a magic pill, but it can definitely help. And just setting up good habits, really. I think that's the word I was more so looking for is just having lots of good habits that you continuously do, and then over time you'll reap the benefits of these. It's setting yourself up so you've got all these good habits, and over time you'll reap the benefits from all that. I think.
Just
Yeah.
finding what works for you, because it won't be the same fix for everyone.
Not at all, mate. Yeah, it is just, yeah, it's again doing a bit of your own research, listening to sort of, yeah, podcasts like these, speaking to people, speaking to other people, and getting their sort of viewpoint on it, and just, yeah, just having a chat as well. Again, another thing, I knew I'm probably going on a bit here now, but like the whole sort of mental health aspect is, again, it's chatting to people. Again, not bottling it up, which I found I'm pretty good at as well. And like I said, I've just to revert back to exercise. I go out on bike rides with my mates, and we all have a good chat when we're on the bike about day-to-day pressures, and if anyone's suffering at all, we have a good chat about it. And I think that's massive, really, is
Yeah,
to just reach out to people around you and just chat about it. There's no shame in it, just have a chat.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
All right, well, that's
Cool.
been very interesting, very insightful. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Not a
Thank you
problem at all,
very
mate.
much.
No worries. Thanks for having me on, mate.
Okay, thank you, Charlie.
Cheers, Will.